Okay, so if you played Resident Evil like me, and you've played every single game that's ever been released, you'll know that they all have a bonus mode with them. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's kind of fine, and then sometimes it's not so great. But for the most part, I would say most of the extra modes in the games are quite enjoyable. Today we're going to go over 3 that I kind of prefer over the others. And then one of them is actually kind of, you can essentially play for free without buying anything. But we'll get into that when we get to that one. But yeah, today just a little brief look at some of the bonus modes in the series that I personally enjoy and do consider to be the best modes. They're optional. But yeah, if you're interested in any of the optional modes in the series, do let me know which is your favourite in the comments. Be sure to subscribe for new Resident Evil content every single day and streams and weekends. And without any further ado, let's jump into bonus mode number 1. Okay, so first up we have the 4th Survivor mode from Resident Evil 2. This is a mode you get after completing the game for the first time, and essentially what it is you play as HUNK, who is the last remaining survivor of Alpha Team, who are sent in to kind of deal with the virus. And he is on the clock. You have to get out of the city before they blow it to pieces. Obviously, throughout the events of 2 and 3, you find out that to contain the outbreak, the government's going to completely demolish Raccoon City, and he has to get the hell out before that happens. You are basically tasked with going through all of the sewer stage and all the way through the RPD with 1 life, limited ammo, limited healing in the fastest time possible. People have done some crazy runs of this. I myself have beat it a few times. I can never really get it past the 9-minute mark. I'm always that kind of speed. But I still jump on it every now and again and try and go, okay, this is the time I'll beat my record. But at the minute it sits at around 9.5 minutes. I think the world record is like 6.5 minutes or something like that. It could be faster than that, I'm not too sure. But this one's a lot of fun. If you haven't played Resident Evil 2 Remake, what are you doing? for the most part, it's brilliant. And you get access to this as well. There is another version of this called Tofu Survivor, which is in the game. I believe you unlock that one after beating 4th Survivor. And essentially that's the same idea, except you play as a big piece of tofu with a hat on, and there's like 4 different versions you can pick. But the default one is it's essentially 4th Survivor, knife only, basically. To put it simply, but it's a bit more goofy. But 4th Survivor is one of my personal favourites, and I really enjoy it. The soundtrack is amazing. The intensity is just crazy. It's always so intense when I play it, and it's just a lot of fun in general. And even though it's kind of the same thing every single time, unlike the other modes we get into, it still has that replayability hook. You kind of want to beat your time, even if it's by like a couple of seconds. I don't know. I love it. But moving on to number 2. Well, it wouldn't have been a bonus modes video without the classic, the most loved extra mode that Resident Evil has ever had, Mercenaries mode. Mercenaries mode, essentially, I'll kind of give you a brief rundown. It's a little bit different from the village version, so I'm going to go through the normal version of it, the original version of it. You have a selection of characters you can play. This is the Resident Evil 5 gameplay, so for example you have Chris, Sheva, Jill, Wesker, Barry, loads of different characters you can pick from who have different weapons they take in with them. And your goal is to essentially, you are on timer, obviously. You are tasked with getting the highest score possible before the time runs out. Which in itself seems pretty basic. You have a certain amount of time, kill as many things as you can in that time. But there's ways to kind of, improve that. You do certain moves on enemies, like takedowns like this, or kill them in certain ways, your time goes up. There is time things you can kick around the map that increase your time, and the idea is to kind of keep a combo going as high as possible. Kind of the same thing with the village version of Mercenaries. It's not really as in depth. The village version is more of a, here's a set path you have to go down, ideally to do this perfectly, to try and get all the enemies killed in the area to get the highest score possible. In the Mercenaries mode originally, there was no limit to the enemy count. The enemy count was not limited. You just kept going until the time ran out or you died, basically. But Mercenaries is held up as one of the most fun modes I've ever done. It's in a lot of the games. It's in 4, it's in 5, it's in 6. It is in Village. I will always say it's in Village. It is Mercenaries mode. It's just slightly different. Not really. People would say it's not really as fun, but I enjoyed it. I S-ranked every single stage to get the lightsaber weapon. So it was a lot of fun. Yes, you do kind of have to do it a certain way, especially later on, but it doesn't take away from the fact that that requires practice, and that in itself for me was kind of what made it fun for me. Keep trying and failing the same thing until you get it down perfectly, and you feel like John Wick going through at the end. Like, you do not miss, you do not mess up, you just do it perfectly. So Mercenaries mode, a lot of fun. Again, if you haven't played Mercenaries mode, it's on Resident Evil 4, 5, 6, and technically Village. So if you haven't played Mercenaries mode, be sure to absolutely check it out, because I promise you, with a little practice and a little kind of experimentation with the characters and stuff like that, you'll really, really enjoy it. And last but certainly not least, there is plenty of other modes I could go over, but this is kind of like the 3 I kind of prefer. This is a fairly new one to me. For a little bit of context, I recently started playing through the Revelations games at last. I don't know why it took me so long to play through them, but I am. And in Revelations 1 and 2 there is a mode called Raid mode, and it's very in depth, though there's a lot going on in it, and I'll give you a brief rundown as best I can. But before we do get into what it is, I've been playing it with a friend of mine recently. Obviously leave a link to his channel in the description. He loads, anything, any day. Could be anything. We're a random mixed bag of uploads, but still. Really cool, check him out. But this is Raid mode, and this is free. This is technically free. If you own a PlayStation or an Xbox, or maybe a Switch, I'm not 100% sure on that. But this is a free mode. You can download the first episode of Revelations, because those games run in like an episode format, where episode 1 is base game, and then obviously the episode 2, 3, 4, 5 are DLC. And downloading the first episode for free gives you access to obviously the first part of the game and the raid mode, and that's the first 4 gauntlets. So yeah, you get access to the first 4 gauntlets on easy, normal, hard, and very hard. And how they work is essentially what you'll be tasked with doing is you'll be sent into an arena from any of the past games. Like, plenty of these arenas from different games. There's one I've played from 6. There's one from 5, I think. There's plenty from 6 though. And most of the objectives are just to kill enemies, kill all the enemies in the arena and don't die. But you have a leveling system, and when you go in, obviously enemies will be scaled to a level specifically. So it'll basically be easier or harder depending on your level. And in the levels there's chests you can open which give you random rewards, where essentially what you would do after a mission ends is go to a hub space and kind of like buy these random things you earn from levels. It could be weapons, it could be ammo mods, it could be parts which increase damage or reload speed or stuff like that. So there's plenty of like customization going on. The characters are actually there's actually quite a few characters that are well known. Obviously in this footage I am playing as HUNK and my friend is playing as Claire. But apart from those two, there is Jill's in the game, Barry's in the game, Leon's in the game. A couple of the characters from Revelations 2 are in the game, and Revelations 1. Wesker is a paid DLC I think as well, which is super cool. So there's plenty of character options, and they all have kind of unique starting perks and stuff like that. For example, HUNK has an invisibility cloak where he's obviously temporarily invisible until we can see him. So there's lots of opportunity to change up your strategy. You can play different characters, use different guns. There's shotguns, handguns, magnums, snipers. Plenty of options with guns. And it is just fun. It does obviously get a little bit more difficult. This is probably one of the more difficult stages we ran. But nevertheless, it's a fun mode, and if you have a friend on the same platform as you, and you want to play a Resident Evil game together, and you don't own Resident Evil like 5 or 6, download Revelations 2. It is free. The campaign is split screen only, but the raid mode is online, and it's a lot of fun. You'll probably get a good amount of time out of it before you have to consider paying for the full game. But me and my friend to this day are still playing it currently, so there's plenty of options to keep you busy. So I would definitely recommend playing raid mode if you haven't already. But yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to cover my kind of 3 preferred extra modes in Resident Evil. There's obviously a lot more, you know, cool random shoutouts now. You've obviously got Tofu Survivor. It's very fun, very goofy. You have Wesker mode from Resident Evil 0, which is just a mode where you feel so OP. It's ridiculous. Resident Evil 0 is an interesting game to play. So if you haven't played Resident Evil 0, check that one out. It's very interesting, and it is available on PlayStation and Xbox as well. There's the PvP modes, which is debatable because not that they were bad, it's just, you know, you can't really find any matches on them anymore. I've been trying for the past week or 2 now to try and get some footage of them, but I just don't have any luck. And then of course, obviously there's, you know, the extra modes in the single player versions of the games, like Invisible Enemy for Resident Evil 1, which is where every single enemy in the game is invisible and can only be seen through like reflections or walking through water and stuff like that. You can see their footprints, which is pretty cool. But yeah, overall, I would say Resident Evil has a good, strong amount of modes and extra modes in their games, which makes it very, very playable. And these are just 3 of the ones I kind of prefer out of a lot of them. But I'm sure your opinion is very different to mine, so do let me know in the comments which bonus modes you prefer. I would imagine a lot of you would kind of say Mercenaries from, you know, 3, 4, 5 and 6. But it'd be interesting to see if anyone else has a preferred extra mode they enjoy playing the most. As always, again, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe for more Resident Evil content, and I'll see you all tomorrow for a brand new video.